going on, everybody? I want to briefly discuss the Metcon 5s, the difference between the 5s and the 4s, and what I like about the changes they made. So, without further ado, let's get started. The first thing I want to discuss with the Metcon 5s is the sidewalls. They've actually increased the height of these on the outside and on the inside of the shoe compared to the Metcon 4s. The sidewalls on the Metcon 5s have actually increased 5/8 of an inch on the inside of the shoe and 1/2 of an inch on the outside of the shoe compared to the Metcon 4s. Now you may be asking yourself, why do I care about the sidewalls being taller on both sides of my shoe? No matter if you're left foot dominant, right foot dominant, or you prefer the S hook or the J hook, you should actually really care about the sidewalls of your shoes, because that's where a majority of the friction for the rope climbs is placed. I've done many rope climb workouts, and I've actually burned through the side of my shoes because there wasn't a good sidewall there. Now, Nike has gotten a lot better in making it bigger and more durable on the side, and this just goes to show the 5s are so far the greatest shoe for taking control of that. On top of that, they've got these ridges on the side that are actually like downward facing, so it's almost like the sidewalls are also acting as a way to grip the rope or to prevent drag down the rope. If you've ever used a shoe that was really kind of slippery on the sides and it didn't allow you to really grab the rope, you would essentially grab the rope in an S hook or a J hook and you'd actually slide down the rope because your shoes don't grip it very well. Well, I think Nike's trying to get a hold of that by creating some ridges on here that allow you to grab the rope better. The next thing that's improved for the Metcon 5 compared to the Metcon 4 is the tongue. Now, I've heard some differing opinions when it comes to the tongue. Some people say that it's sharp, it cuts into their foot. I guess the only thing I can say is just wear long socks. Like, that's all I wear, and so I don't have any issues with it, and I've worn it for almost like 4 or 5 days now, and I've put it through the ringer, and I have not had any issues with the tongue biting my ankle at all. The noticeable differences between the tongues for the 4s and the 5s. The 5 is actually really thin and is essentially not very material heavy. Now, the issue I had with that is the fact that friction for rope climbs goes over the top of your foot on one of your feet. And so I found that I would rip the tongue because there's so much friction and burn when you slide down the rope. The other noticeable difference is the fact that the 5s don't have this little loop right here that you use to put your laces through, which, I don't know, like, it's not a big deal to me. I don't really mind it being gone because, to be honest, this usually rips sometimes because of my laces and also because of the rope climbs. And so it's kind of nice to not have it because now I don't have to worry about that wear and tear concept. So the tongue for the 5 is actually quite a bit thicker, and I think it also withstands a lot more friction from rope climbs, which is awesome. The next thing I want to discuss for a review of the Metcon 5s is the difference in weight between the 5s and the 4s. This is actually really funny to me that people actually really care about the weight of their shoes. Now, it's one thing if your shoe is 5 pounds, but if you get a better shoe that's more durable and it's 1 ounce heavier, I don't think that's really too bad of a price to pay. The Metcon 5s weigh in at 12.6 ounces. The 4s weigh in at 11.5 ounces, which puts the difference at 1.6 ounces. So here's the thing. If you think 1.6 ounces is gonna make your toes to the bar slower, your bar muscle ups harder, and your muscle ups near impossible, you've probably got other issues you need to work on. Now, the other nice part is this fact. If you're wearing the 5s and you're competing against your buddy and your buddy's wearing the 4s, you can obviously claim that you're doing more work because, as we know, work equals force times distance, right? And force is mass times acceleration. So, therefore, if your shoe's heavier, it has more mass, which it has 1.6 ounces per foot more mass, then therefore, if you finish the workout at the same time, you've actually done more work than your buddy. So use it. Use it on your friends. Now, the next question you might have is sizing. Does it fit true to its size? I wear a 10.5 shoe. I've worn a 10.5 shoe in every other Metcon version. I wear a 10.5 in Romaleos, and I found that this fits just like it should. So I think it fits true to its size. I have not tried a 10.5, and I have not tried an 11. I probably will in the near future, but personally, the 10.5 fits great, and I have 0 complaints. The last thing I want to talk about, ladies and gentlemen, is the lift of the Metcon 5s compared to the 4s and compared to the Romaleo 3s, especially when Nike includes this cool new thing called a Nike Hyperlift. So, real quickly, the Nike Hyperlift is an insert you would place underneath your inserts inside the heel, and it gives you an added half-inch clearance from the ground. If you're worried about the lift of your heels from the ground compared to the 4s and the 5s, you're in luck. They're completely the same. That is assuming you don't put the Hyperlift inside the 5s. If you put the Hyperlift inserts into your Nike Metcon 5s, you'll get 1 3/8 inch clearance from the ground for your heel. And for you folks that stink at pistols, that's perfect, because that's the same heel clearance for the Romoleo 3s. There are obviously a lot of difference between the Romoleo 3s and the Nike Metcon 5s, but when we look at just the heels, the lift is similar, assuming you wear the Hyperlift in the Nike Metcon 5s, but one main difference between them is the fact that your ankle, the back of your ankle, has less support on the Nike Metcon 5s than it does for the Romoleo 3s. The last thing I want to talk about for the Nike Metcon 5s is the tread and how much I absolutely love it. Now, when I say that, I'm not saying that I hate the tread in the Nike Metcon 4s. They're completely different. But at the same time, I really love the Nike Metcon 5s because of the grooves they have in them. It's almost like they're built for sled pushing, which I absolutely love, because I've had issues in the past where if it's raining outside and I'm trying to push a sled and I get absolutely zero traction, this shoe is probably perfect for that. So, to briefly recap, the sidewalls on the 5s are taller than the 4s, which is awesome for rope climbs. The tongue is thicker and heavier on the 5s and the 4s, but I also think that is also going to be a lot better for the friction for rope climbs. The 5s are 1.6 ounces heavier than the 4s. Therefore, if you tie your buddy, you can claim you won because of math. The sizing for the 5s is true to its number and perfect. If you love lifting in Metcons but struggle with squat depth, then this shoe is perfect for you, especially when you combine it with a Hyperlift. It allows you to have the same ground to heel distance as the Romoleo 3s, but at the same time, you can run with them, which is awesome. And finally, the tread. The tread on these things are amazing. They're built for rope climbs, they're built for sled pushes, they're pretty much built for anything inside the CrossFit box, and you cannot go wrong. And that's it, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Nike Metcon 5s. I hope you appreciate my review. I'm not planning on blowing them up, burning them, dragging them. I'm planning on saving this shoe. I've used it for a lot of rope climbs, thrusters, wall balls, running so far, and I absolutely love them. If you have any further questions, put in the comments down below. Talk to you guys later, and thanks for watching. See ya!